You might wonder, why should we study aging? Isn't it just something that happens to people? But in fact, aging is the largest risk factor for a host of chronic and degenerative diseases. And so the thought that we have in the field is that if we could slow down aging, we might be able to slow down the onset of many diseases at once. Now, there's lots of different ways we can study aging. We can study people who live a long time, like centenarians. We can also study extremely long-lived organisms, such as the bowhead whale. So this animal lives 200 years. But of course, it's really hard to do experiments in either of those systems. We can also swing the other direction and just study cells in tissue culture, but then we lose some of the aspects of the whole organism. And so what we like to do is try to understand animals in their entire context. Now, there's lots of different animals you can use to study aging. We can study single-celled organisms such as yeast and bacteria, all the way up through long-lived non-human primates like monkeys. And all these animals have different benefits and challenges. So what my lab likes to do is use a simple model organism called C. elegans. Now, C. elegans lives only a short time, so it only lives 2 to 3 weeks, but within that amount of time, we can actually see a lot of changes with age. So it's really obvious. If I were to take you to my lab and you look through my microscopes at these worms, you would be able to tell me the difference between a young and an old worm simply by how they look. The reason this is really helpful to us is because worms share a lot of characteristics with us, even though they're so diverged evolutionarily. So when we discover something new in worms that has something to do with aging or longevity, there's a very good chance it will have some relevance for us. And I'm going to tell you today about some of the stories about what we've found in our lab that can relate to human quality of life with age.